It was a misty morning in the English countryside, the kind where you can barely see your hand in front of your face. John, a local farmer, was out checking his sheep. He'd done this 1,000 times before, but today was different. Today he saw something that would change his life forever. Through the thick fog, John spotted a large cat-like figure. It was sleek, powerful, and definitely not native to England. For a split second, their eyes met. The creature's gaze was intense, almost otherworldly. Then as quickly as it appeared, it vanished into the mist. John was left standing there, heart pounding, questioning his own sanity. This wasn't the first time someone had seen the mysterious beast. For years, rumors had been swirling about a large exotic cat roaming the English countryside. Some called it the Surrey cougar, a name that hinted at its supposed origins. But how could a South American big cat end up in the rolling hills of England? John's encounter is just one of many. Over the years, dozens of people have reported similar sightings. Each story adds another layer to the legend of the Surrey cougar. It's a mystery that has captivated the public imagination, baffled experts, and left us all wondering what really lurks in the fog-shrouded fields of rural England. The legend of the Surrey cougar didn't start overnight. It's a tale that's been brewing for decades. The first whispers began in the late 1960s. That's when people started noticing something strange in the countryside, something that didn't quite fit. First, it was just a few isolated reports. A farmer here, a hiker there. They all told similar stories. They'd seen a large cat-like animal, but it wasn't like any cat they knew. It was too big to be a domestic cat, and it moved differently from the native wild cats. These early accounts were often dismissed. People chalked them up to overactive imaginations or mistaken identities. But as the years went by, the reports kept coming in. They became more frequent, more detailed. People weren't just seeing fleeting shadows anymore. They were describing a specific animal. It was about the size of a large dog. It had a sleek, muscular body. Its coat was a rich, tawny color, and its eyes, well, those who saw them never forgot them. The name Surrey cougar started to circulate. Why Surrey? Some say it was because the animal resembled the jaguars found in that South American country. Others claim it was linked to a rumor about escaped exotic pets. Whatever the reason, the name stuck. And with it, a legend was born. A legend that would capture the imagination of a nation and spark a mystery that continues to this day. Over the years, the number of Surrey cougar sightings has grown exponentially. Each account adds another piece to this puzzling feline jigsaw. Let's dive into some of the most compelling eyewitness reports. They paint a vivid picture of our elusive friend. Sarah, a postal worker, had her encounter on a crisp autumn morning. She was driving her usual route when something caught her eye. It was like a shadow come to life, she recalls. But this shadow had eyes that glowed in my headlights. Sarah describes a creature larger than any domestic cat she'd ever seen. It moved with a fluid grace that left her in awe. Then there's Mike, a seasoned hunter. He spent countless hours in the woods. He knows every animal native to the area, but what he saw one misty evening left him speechless. It was stalking something in the underbrush, Mike says. The way it moved, it was like watching liquid power. No bobcat or lynx moves like that. Perhaps the most intriguing account comes from a group of campers. They were sitting around their fire when they heard a strange sound. It was a cross between a purr and a growl. When they shone their flashlights into the darkness, they saw a pair of eyes reflecting back. But it wasn't just the eyes that startled them, it was the height. Whatever it was standing at least 3 feet tall at the shoulder. Among the many Surrey cougar sightings, one stands out for its detail and proximity. It's the story of George, a sheep farmer from Devon. His encounter happened on a foggy morning in early spring. George was out checking on his flock when he heard an unusual sound. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before, George recounts. A low, rumbling growl that sent shivers down my spine. He turned slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. There, not 20 feet away, stood a creature that defied explanation. It was cat-like, but far larger than any domestic cat. Its muscular body was poised, ready to spring. George describes the animal in vivid detail. It had a tawny coat, almost golden in the morning light. Its eyes were amber, intelligent, and, well, almost human-like in their intensity. The standoff lasted only moments, but for George it felt like an eternity. Then, As quickly as it had appeared, the creature melted back into the fog. This encounter left a lasting impression on George. He's convinced what he saw was no ordinary animal. "I've been around livestock all my life," he says. "I know the local wildlife. This was something else entirely, something that shouldn't be here, but undeniably is." George's story, with its wealth of detail, has become a cornerstone in the Surrey cougar legend. Section 5. Paw prints and puzzles physical evidence. While eyewitness accounts are compelling, skeptics often demand more tangible proof. And in the case of the Surrey cougar, there have been tantalizing pieces of physical evidence. These clues have both excited believers and puzzled experts. Let's examine some of the most intriguing finds. Paw prints are perhaps the most common form of evidence. Over the years, numerous large cat-like prints have been found in soft soil or mud. These prints are significantly larger than those of domestic cats. They often show the distinctive round shape and lack of claw marks typical of big cats. Plaster casts have been made of some of these prints, allowing for closer study. Hair samples have also been collected from areas where sightings occurred. These hairs are often found snagged on fences or bushes. Under microscopic examination, they've shown characteristics consistent with big cat fur. However, without DNA analysis, it's impossible to definitively identify the species. Perhaps the most controversial piece of evidence is a series of photographs taken by a wildlife photographer in 2005. The images, though slightly blurry, show a large cat-like animal moving through tall grass. Experts have debated the authenticity of these photos endlessly. Some claim they're proof positive of the Surrey cougar's existence. Others insist they're cleverly staged hoaxes. Section 6. Exotic escapees, the pet theory. One of the most popular explanations for the Surrey cougar sightings is the exotic pet theory. This idea suggests that the creatures people are seeing are actually escaped or released big cats. It's a theory that, at first glance, seems to make a lot of sense. Let's dive into the details. In the 1960s and 70s, it was surprisingly easy to own exotic pets in the UK. This included big cats like pumas, leopards, and even tigers. Many wealthy individuals kept these animals as status symbols, but as laws tightened and the reality of caring for such animals set in, some owners may have released their pets into the wild. Supporters of this theory point to several factors. First, the timing of the initial sightings coincides with the era when exotic pet ownership was declining. Second, the descriptions of the Surrey cougar often match those of known big cat species. Finally, there have been confirmed cases of big cats escaping or being released in other parts of the world. However, this theory isn't without its critics. They argue that escaped pets wouldn't be able to survive long in the English climate. They also question how these animals could have bred and maintained a population over several decades without being caught. Despite these objections, the exotic pet theory remains one of the most widely accepted explanations for the Surrey cougar mystery. Section 7. Mistaken identity. Could it be something else? While many are convinced of the Surrey cougar's existence, skeptics offer alternative explanations. One of the most common is the theory of mistaken identity. Could people simply be misidentifying known animals? Let's explore this possibility and the animals that might be causing the confusion. The first candidate for mistaken identity is the European wildcat. While rare in England, these animals do exist in small numbers. They are larger than domestic cats and have a distinctive striped coat. In low light or at a distance, they could potentially be mistaken for something more exotic. However, wildcats are significantly smaller than the described Surrey cougar. Another possibility is the escaped or feral domestic cat. Some domestic cats, particularly Maine Coons or Norwegian forest cats, can grow quite large. In the wild, their coats might become shaggy and their behavior more elusive. This could lead to misidentification, especially by people not familiar with these breeds. Skeptics also point to other animals that might be mistaken for a big cat. These include large dogs, particularly breeds like the Scottish Deerhound or Irish Wolfhound. In the right light and from a distance, these dogs could potentially be misidentified as cat-like creatures. Even animals like foxes or badgers, when seen briefly or in poor conditions, might contribute to the confusion. Section 8. There's a cryptozoological conundrum, a new species. For some, the Surrey cougar represents more than just an escaped exotic pet or a case of mistaken identity. It's a potential cryptozoological phenomenon, a creature unknown to science. This theory suggests that the Surrey cougar might be an undiscovered species of big cat. It's a tantalizing idea that has captured the imagination of many. Proponents of this theory argue that the consistency of sightings over decades suggests a breeding population. They point out that new species are still being discovered, even in well-explored areas. The idea of a large predator going undetected in the English countryside might seem far-fetched. But supporters argue that the animal's elusiveness and the vast areas of rural land make it possible. Some cryptozoologists have even suggested that the Surrey cougar might be a remnant population of an extinct species. They point to fossil evidence of large cats that once roamed Britain, such as the European cave lion. Could a small population have survived undetected into modern times? It's a long shot, but for some it's an exciting possibility. Critics of this theory are quick to point out the lack of concrete evidence. They argue that a breeding population of large predators would leave more traces, not just sightings, but kills, definitive tracks, and eventually bodies. The absence of such evidence, they say, makes the idea of an unknown species highly unlikely. Section 9, the impact on local communities. The legend of the Surrey cougar has had a profound impact on the communities where sightings have occurred. It's not just a story, it's become a part of local culture, affecting everything from tourism to daily life. Let's explore how this mysterious feline has left its mark on rural England. In some areas, the Surrey cougar has become a tourist attraction. Small towns have embraced the legend, offering big cat tours and selling Surrey cougar souvenirs. Local pubs have even named drinks after the elusive creature. This boost in tourism has been a welcome economic boon for some rural communities struggling with declining agriculture. However, not everyone sees the Surrey cougar as a positive influence. Some farmers worry about the safety of their livestock. There have been occasional reports of unexplained animal deaths or injuries. While these are rarely conclusively linked to a big cat, they fuel local concerns. Some residents have even reported feeling uneasy about walking alone in the countryside. The legend has also affected local wildlife management. Rangers and conservation officers often find themselves fielding calls about potential Surrey cougar sightings. This can divert resources from other important tasks. On the flip side, the interest in the Surrey cougar has led to increased awareness of local wildlife in general. Many people have become more observant of the animals around them. Section 10, scientific skepticism versus true believers. The Surrey cougar phenomenon has created a divide between scientific skeptics and those who firmly believe in its existence. This clash of perspectives has led to heated debates and ongoing investigations. Let's examine both sides of this intriguing argument. On the skeptical side, we have scientists and wildlife experts. They point to the lack of concrete evidence as a major issue. No Surrey cougar has ever been captured or found dead. There's no DNA evidence that conclusively proves its existence. Skeptics argue that if a population of large cats were living in England, we'd have more than just sightings by now. These experts often propose alternative explanations for sightings. They suggest misidentification of known animals, hoaxes, or the power of suggestion. They argue that once the idea of a mysterious big cat takes hold, people are more likely to interpret ambiguous sightings as evidence of the Surrey cougar. On the other hand, we have the true believers. These individuals, many of whom claim to have seen the Surrey cougar themselves, are convinced of its existence. They argue that the sheer number and consistency of sightings can't be dismissed. They point to the physical evidence, paw prints, fur samples, and photographs as proof that something unusual is out there. Section 11, the enduring mystery, why the Surrey cougar persists. As we reach the end of our exploration, one question remains: why does the legend of the Surrey cougar persist? Despite lack of concrete proof, this mysterious feline continues to capture our imagination. Let's delve into the reasons behind its enduring appeal. First, there's the allure of the unknown. In our modern world, where it seems every corner of the globe has been explored, the idea of an undiscovered creature is thrilling. The Surrey cougar represents a last vestige of mystery in the familiar English countryside. It's a reminder that there might still be secrets out there, waiting to be uncovered. Secondly, the Surrey cougar taps into our primal fears and fascinations. Big cats have always held a special place in human psychology. They're beautiful, powerful, and just a little bit frightening. The idea of such a creature roaming free in our own backyard is both terrifying and exciting. The legend also persists because it's adaptable. Over the years, the story has evolved to fit changing times and new evidence. When one theory is debunked,